Concerning the matter of Jerusalem, and I have a friend, an anarcho-capitalist friend, who had posed the question, please give arguments for why Jerusalem should be considered to be occupied territory. This was a position that he didn't hold, and arguments in this matter were invited in and out and all the rest of it. Well, I mean, I'm not interested in world politics at all. I have no idea what any kerfuffle claimed is all about. I just know that everything that is done, that is put before our eyes, is trickery of some sort or another, because that's how the world runs. And there's no true thing ever really reaches the media, in my humble opinion, and other than maybe a few local events, we'll have to have a certain measure of truth, because there are more eyewitnesses. But I mean, international events or big events, they're staged, they're filmed beforehand, they're prepared, they're set up. That's how so many things are done. Is it not happening in the theatre of war? Of course it is. They've found mannequins being used as bodies and obvious theatre sets of bomb sites. So what is truly happening, we have no, or if anything, it doesn't interest me at all. It's just irrelevant. Whatever they do, what they do. But from a biblical perspective, I thought the answer would be interesting. I mean, he wouldn't listen to a biblical perspective probably, but I might chance it. Now, biblically, I think it's important to consider the meaning of the word Israel, which is claimed to be, I've read various possibilities, but I think he who sees God, or he sees God rather, seems to be a good translation. He sees God. There's one that says God prevails, and there's another one that said man prevails with God, which sound like opposites. So that's probably some Jewish tradition. So I'm going to go with he sees God. So if Israel is composed of he who sees God, then clearly it's referred to the elect at the moment. I suppose, I don't know whether to call them the elect or the church, I could say more generally, but this isn't a matter of course, when I say church, I'm really not talking about that building that people keep on going to, because that's the realm of Satan. And people really don't get it. The churches are involved in separating by following different doctrines, you see, different interpretations, and making them part of their services and their confession of faith. People don't understand that to take the Holy Bible and to write a summary of any part of it, or to presume to write some extended interpretation of various parts of it. I mean, the verb I used was presume, and I did it deliberately. It is a great presumption, I believe, in the face of the living God, isn't it, really? I mean, and what happens with these learned men, and of course they become quite revered amongst different communities. Different men will appear. I noticed it's one of the things that irritated me in the church, that different men were recommended as for their skill at interpreting the Bible, and such and such a man. And all the churches would revere different fellows, you see, because depending on they do revere different people. So the church is, actively involved in dividing the kingdom of God. It has no real role. It's just a building, you see, and then they have the little hierarchical organization. These are not godly matters. We are now entering the spiritual realm, and our contact with the living God will be increasingly through the Spirit as the spiritual power in the land increases. So that's where we need to, I believe, to focus our attention and to try to become more acquainted with that. You see, the gentlemen that make a précis of parts of the Bible or try to write an interpretation. I know some of those books are very interesting. Don't get me wrong. I've never read one, but I've heard people talking about it on the internet, and I've been quite persuaded by this argument and the other. But ultimately, I always see this the resulting conflict in people who should be brethren living peacefully with one another and speaking respectfully always. And sometimes that seems to be the first thing to go out of the window. And this is the church. This is the established church. So I see it as the spiritual church, and we are the living stones of the third temple. I think the Bible does make that quite clear. So the power lies with us, as it were, or the power is vested in us. And we need to, I can never seem to get over this habit of moralizing when I'm speaking. It annoys me. It's just part of my nature, isn't it? I suppose that's how it is. I have a pedantic and nagging and supercilious tone when I listen to the things that I say. I don't like my presentation, but it's my nature. I haven't attempted to refine it by learning how to be, a speaker. I just speak as it comes to me, and that's just the way it is. And I don't think it's great, but the ideas that I have, I just seem to, I do want to express them. To me, they seem important. Now, I don't believe that I'm deluded in any way. My acting, if anything, has become more rational. I was in quite a state for a while when my emotional state had got the better of me, of my reason. I had been cast into this realm, but it has ultimately strengthened me. It has made me understand the danger of my position and the importance of acting impeccably, which is something that I wasn't fully aware of, shall we say. Acting impeccably. And it's a different thing to being good. You can't be good. People need to just we need to spread this understanding, you see. We can't, otherwise, all we are hypocrites, like everybody else, you know. Being good isn't an honourable goal. Really. It's a presumptuous goal indeed, because of course good and God are closely related, those two words. No, no, no. We are to put our face in the dust from where we can, if the will of God toucheth upon us, be lifted up. There's a beautiful description in the Bible, isn't there, of when God first lifts up um, a bedraggled woman, I think, as representing probably the church, the Jews, the Israelites, I should say, the people of Judah. I don't know exactly which group, but certainly, you know, the believers. And he lifts her up out of the mire of the streets, and she's given such benefit and grace, and she becomes so fine and so beautiful that she becomes enchanted by it, and she loses her connection to the Spirit of God, and she is seduced by a seducing spirit, and so enters that different realm. But we have to refine ourselves, you see, for these types of encounters. These are encounters of power. They're not encounters that you can control with your will. It's presumptuous to try to do it. I understand that our role as Christians is to stand in the will of the Spirit of the living God. Or to sit or to lie or to die in perfect allegiance to that Spirit. We are mortals and we are sinful, so we have a dualistic nature, and sin is within us. And so we should take possession of it, recognize it. That gives us control. Then we have the ability then to use these spirits that are within us to achieve the holy purpose of the living God, which is, you know, where all our power and energy is directed, because he is our Lord and Master, and we are his servants, and he has sent out his instructions to the world. And I have heard, and perhaps somebody else listening has heard, I'm sure many people across the world have heard, and I don't know what good I'm doing, you know, really. Having heard, I don't think you can, I've said it before, I don't think this is something that you can broadcast. It's a very personal thing. That's all. It's a personal thing. But I do like to make it, to make an occasional comment on the internet about it, because you never know, somebody might listen to it, and it gives me some release, because my mind is often full of so full of concepts, and I think this is I have now it's been shown to me that this is problematic. It's a bit of a professional hazard, I suppose, as a translator, because I deal with concepts and new concepts every single day that I have to encapsulate in my mind and dissect and filter in a huge range of fields. So my Bible studies have produced equally a myriad of equally far more so, and they've given a focus to so much of my understanding, snapped it into focus. And then I start understanding some of the concepts of sorcery and noticing how close, how appropriate they are to the Holy Bible and the great events that are described therein. And suddenly I discover that these are within the realm of a sorcerer. And these matters, rather like it says in the Bible also, they cannot be seen by all. I think this is important to stress. If a man or a woman is earthbound, as it were, is unawake in their spiritual nature, or perhaps unawakened to the Spirit of the living God, I don't know exactly, but I suppose that would be it. Then if they're living in the kind of the surface world, they can't see those things. But if you're living more in a spiritual realm, shall we say, then you begin to perceive them with greater or lesser clarity, I suppose, depending on how much self and doing is present in you. And one of the things that blocks the spirit, of course, is this continual conceptualizing and talking that I'm involved in. It's not helpful for I suppose for making spiritual connection. I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it's just what I have to do, because there isn't a path. That's the problem with this stuff, you see. There is no path. It's not as though you can perform a set of actions and thereby enter into a spiritual realm, because it's the spiritual realm that enters into you, I suppose. I was very affected when Don Juan says that a sorcerer never seeks out anyone. I thought that was a very precise idea. When Castaneda recommends that he looks for his missing wife. No, a sorcerer does not look for people. You just have to be available for power and refine in the interim, refine your understanding and sensitivity. I find reading the Bible very helpful in those matters. although I'm not reading it as much as I have done in the past. In fact, today I don't think I've read a single word of the Bible which is open before me, so I shall close now. And before bedtime, there's so many different places that I'm reading in the Bible at the moment that I can't, I don't know which one to go to, but I'm going to say Genesis, because I've so many things that have been striking me lately have come from Genesis. I got really interested in the matter of the Ishmaelites and Ishmael and the story of Hagar. And I was back in Genesis, and there was another couple of points that it was like everything was back to Genesis, and I discovered I don't really know Genesis half as well as I should, actually, because not as I should, as it would be better to know it. I need to read it again. How can I say that? So there we go. Back to the beginning, and indeed, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, Let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. God bless.